Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyus Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Happy New Year, everybody! Where is everybody? It's just me and Earl the Pearl here. That's it.
Let's do it, boy.
Where is everybody else? We got an empty seat. We got an empty seat over there. We got empty seats over there. We got Mike, Anthony, and Steve behind the glass. This is a crazy day. So let's give you the injury report. We'll start with that real quick. We're going to be jumping into topics. I'll have to recap a little of my trip. I'll have to explain to you why I've been named the 2024 greatest fantasy player in the history of fantasy sports. That's all coming up. But here's our injury report. G. Bush out indefinitely, broken ankle.
That's a fact.
I mean, he
was shoveling
G.
snow.
Bush is if you know, you know. He is the Byron Buxton of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Incredible talent, can't stay on the field.
Is that what he told you, Mike? He was shoveling snow?
That is what the text I got from G. Bush this morning said, yes. He had a previous injury from football and re-aggravated it, shoveling snow, and is now currently on the injured list for an undisclosed amount of time.
Injured list, broken ankle, don't know when he's back. Tyus, who's almost always the first one here when he is working, as you know, Earl, he's not here because he had his car had a flat tire about 15 minutes from the studio. Tyus, for those who don't know, drives over 2 hours to come do this show. He's been doing that for 2 years. 15 minutes away. He would have been here very early as usual. Flat tire. He has to take an Uber. He's on his way. He'll probably be here in about 10 minutes. We've got Jay, I think just got back from vacation, so he'll be back tomorrow. Jason's on vacation right now. I just got back from vacation. Earl is here on the panel, so we're ready to go. Lots to get to. We're going to jump right into our first topic before we goof around and talk about some off the couch stuff. But coming up later, the Browns' last game, the Cavs are red hot, and the Buckeyes with an impressive victory. But first, Mike, we got to talk about a friend of yours who might be put in a mental institution because he's insane.
Yeah, we're going to get to everything, and we're going to spend the few minutes we usually start the show off messing around when Tyus gets in. We didn't want to dive into a topic and then have Tyus walk in the middle because it would derail everything. So it's a little unconventional order to UCSS today, but we're going to dive right in. I was at a New Year's Eve party on New Year's Eve, and my buddy Brendan came up to me and said, Mike, I think the Cavs are better with Dean Wade than they would be with LeBron if he just swapped it. It was such a crazy take. I tweeted it out. He said specifically, word for word, the Cavs are better with Wade at the 3 right now than they'd be if you swapped him out with LeBron. They'd have to change their style too much to accommodate LeBron. I got a ton of responses to this, Bowl. I'm going to show you a few of them. Noah Olson says, this is facts, Mr. Nuggets. I appreciate the proper way to address me, Mr. Nuggets from now on.
Shouldn't the N be capitalized then?
Grammar is not my strong suit. We're not going to get on people for bad grammar in 2025. Grizz Goat said, this shouldn't even be a hot take. Diana Hartwig said, it's true. LeBron can't be a role player. Dean can. Easy as that. And then we had Stupak Shakur who said, y'all can't be serious. Dean Wade, I love my Cavs, but y'all got to leave these bad takes in 2024. We got over 40 responses to that. Yeah. It was a pretty even 50-50 split, so I wanted to ask you guys.
Before you do,
let
me just say that speaking of Nuggets, McNuggets, another alternate nickname we could go with for you now. On the drive back from New Jersey, we stopped at Sheets a couple of times to grab snacks, and they have nuggets that they call Schnuggets. So I think we could that could be a good alternate nickname.
McSnuggets?
McSnuggets, yeah.
Sure, whatever you want.
Earl, what do you think about it? Is his friend insane or is he right?
That's worse than any take I've had in my 2.5, 3 year tenure on this show. You know, I kind of jumped out the box a little, said Donovan Mitchell had the best individual season, outside of LeBron. But this is insane, boy. This is crazy. He's LeBron James.
Yeah.
Even at 40 years old, you add LeBron James to this roster, and the Cavs is probably going to the NBA Finals. 9 times out of 10, they're going to win it. I think at this stage in his career, LeBron is more willing to adapt to whatever system versus doing things his way. At least I think that to be the case. He's not being asked to carry the load or carry a basketball team anymore. Hell, even in LA, that's not the case. So, yeah, that's crazy. Like Dean Wade, the numbers with Dean Wade in the Cavs lineup versus not is crazy to me. But that's LeBron James we talking about, man.
Yeah, I was wondering if you'd go homer on this, but you did. You're living in the real world. Mike's friend is out of his mind, and anybody that agrees with Mike's friend is out of his mind too.
Out of pocket.
Beyond out of pocket. Your pocket's been torn out and cut off your body. Here's the thing. In the short term, for the next month, would the Cavs maybe be better briefly with Dean Wade? Okay, sure, because there's going to be some adjustment period, so maybe they'd lose more games with LeBron than they would with Dean Wade as they get used to playing with LeBron. I could see that. I don't know. I'm not saying that would happen. I'm saying I could see that as a possibility temporarily. But by the time you got to the playoffs, forget about it. LeBron is still one of the top, 30 players in the league?
Easily.
20.
Okay,
Easy.
top
Maybe
20
15.
players in the league. I understand. We all get it. There would be some adjustment. And yes, LeBron, for the first time really in his career, would have to kind of not be the guy. They couldn't just do things his way, and maybe it's possible that he wouldn't be okay with that. That would be a tricky situation, and maybe it would not work. However, the idea that you wouldn't make that trade as if it's a sure thing that you'd be better off with a role player than the greatest player in the history of the sport is beyond stupid.
So when Brendan told me that, and shout out to Brendan. I told him we were going to do this topic today. He said, feel free to use my name. So shout out to Brendan.
He's a Cavs fan, correct?
Big Cavs fan,
of course,
big Cavs fan.
because he's living in La La Land.
I said, I think in principle, like the idea of what you're saying makes sense. If there was an upgrade over Dean Wade that would change their style, yeah. But we're talking about LeBron James here. Like LeBron, and think of the playmaking LeBron would add to this team.
Tyvus is here, by the way.
And we're going to ask Tyvus this next question.
Up,
Thanks for coming in, Tyvus. Ty, are the Cavs better with Dean Wade than they would be with LeBron James if you just switched those two out?
No. I know Dean Wade is we talked about him on Tuesday. He's the ultimate glue guy. But it's LeBron James. Listen, LeBron is at the point of his career where all he wants to do is shoot anyways. And if you give him those backdoor cuts, I mean, that's electric. That's a dunk. So I actually think that it would fit LeBron. Now, I don't know how much defense LeBron is going to play, but I think it's LeBron. At the end of the day, when you get to playoff basketball,
he's playing defense.
You need that guy that's with him, Donovan, Darius, Evan. Like, come on, man. That's unstoppable. Dean Wade is a great guy. He's going to play his role. He's going to play hard. But at the end of the day, playing hard is not going to get it done. You need a guy that's been there, that's done it over and over again. He would make the Cavs better. This is an asinine question.
I would say that I'm shocked that half the responses to your tweet agreed with this guy. But I know my peeps. I know our fellow Clevelanders.
We
get it. It's homers.
Was this take December 31st or after the ball dropped?
No, this was during the game. We were watching the game together. This
was
was
on New Year's Eve.
On New Year's Eve.
So was he hammered?
No, the game had just started. No.
It started like 9 o'clock, didn't it?
Well, he wasn't hammered. No, I'm telling you.
But
no.
you said that as if I'm crazy for thinking he would be hammered at 9 p.m. on New Year's Eve.
Is this guy?
I'm sure there were a lot of people hammered.
Is he a Cleveland fan?
Yes.
Cleveland fan.
So this is just the way for Cleveland. They're trying to figure out how to be more successful post LeBron, and this is one of those ways of saying, listen, we don't need LeBron.
That's right.
Anymore.
That's
what
he's
all trying to get.
There
to.
is a percentage of so there. It's an interesting thing with our fan base, right? We have a percentage of fans that hated LeBron when he was gone. Mm-hmm. Most of them came back, when he came back.
Yeah,
they were good.
I mean,
there's still a small percentage that still hated him.
I don't know. Oh, okay. I thought you was about to say like still to this day.
To this day, yes, there's a small percentage of fans that still hate him.
Why?
Because people are nuts. I mean, there's always a crazy group of people.
That man won a championship. He is
I
forever
hear
good.
You, but but there's a percentage of our fan base, I would say like 30, 40% even, that were mad, then loved him again, and now they're like, F him, we want to win one without LeBron.
I know a young lady right now, she watches a lot Cavs games, and she always say at the end when the Cavs win, we don't need LeBron, LeBron need us.
Right.
That's her tagline.
I mean, that ain't wrong right now. And
the Cavs might
disagree.
be able to win it all without LeBron. They might. And I get why some people, because it felt like LeBron took all the oxygen out of the room. I just don't feel like that would be the case now. And I think I think he would eventually fit in nice with this team. Obviously, this is never going to happen.
No, he ain't coming back.
But to say, even with the potential pitfalls of bringing in a player of that superstar status and changing the chemistry on the team, it's no doubt worth it if you could somehow do it.
LeBron James.
Yeah, I mean,
we talked about Jimmy Butler like a week ago, and this is totally different. Like LeBron, to me, at this point, first, it's LeBron. Like it would work out because it's LeBron. And like I say, for the playoff reasons, even though Jimmy's good in the playoffs, I think it doesn't mess up what the Cavs is doing. I think LeBron can still do those things because he shoots more threes now, anyways.
Yeah. All right, so that was our let's fill 5 minutes till Tyvus gets in time.
That wasn't Phil. We weren't doing it.
No, it was good.
It was
time.
good.
And Tyvus, excellent job by you just walking in, putting your
eye. He kept running in.
And he just seamlessly entered the conversation.
You did.
Bravo, Tyvus. Nice you want to give us a little update on what happened to you this
Tyvus would have been here early, as usual.
Yeah. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
So as you know, I was driving Cardell's Tesla, and as I got up to Sheetz. I got at that Brook Park Sheetz.
Just talking about Sheetz. Yeah.
You know, the one right by the plane dealer.
Yeah.
So I was sitting up there, and I was about to charge the car. And as I was walking to charge the car, I heard this hissing. And then I looked at it, and it was like the tire was losing air. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe it ain't that bad. Let me try to put some air in it. And it just was kicking it back out. So then I went inside and I tried to get like some fix-a-flat real quick, put it in there, see if that can hold to get me here.
No.
Kicked it back out. Still wasn't working. So I ended up calling Cardell and telling him, hey, bro, I know you still in Pasadena. I know you still in Cali and whatnot, but we got a major problem over here. So he was like, you know what, this is what we gonna do. He said, you about to be late to work. He said, go ahead, I'm gonna have somebody come tow it, take it to the spot, get a new tire, fix it, whatever, and then we'll figure it out when you get done. So
how you gonna get home?
Bet I took an Uber to get here, and hopefully by the time this is all over with, we got something
Cardell's
situated.
making moves.
Yeah, Cardell is working behind the scenes from Pasadena.
Was this one of those like cyber trucks or whatever they're called?
No, it's just a regular Tesla.
Just a regular Tesla.
Yeah.
Why were you driving his car?
Cardell I've been driving that car for 2 weeks.
Oh.
Cardell been out of town, so I'm like, I'm not about to give it back to you. I wait till you come back, and then I give it back to you when you come back. Plus, he got a truck anyway, so he don't really care about it that much.
Crazy.
So I was like, I had it. Yeah. He left, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna take it back. I'll just drive it. And I ended up catching a flat today.
Okay, well, we're sorry.
Shout out to my Uber driver, Justin. Man, got me here at a decent time.
Yeah, you got here quicker than we thought. I was predicting you'd be here between 11:10 and 11:15. And you got here at 11:08.
What was his rating? What would you give your Uber driver?
I gotta rate him and tip him right now. I gotta give you it's a 5-star right there.
Yeah.
What type of music did he play?
It did. I wasn't paying attention to that because I was too busy listening to y'all.
Okay. So anyway, there you go. A couple other things, guys. We need to spend a few minutes discussing the fact that I may be the greatest fantasy sports player of all time.
Honestly, no one cares.
Well, I care, so I'm going to take time out of this show to brag. I had the greatest fantasy calendar year ever. Nobody can beat me. I won 4 out of 6 fantasy football championships.
So two people beat you.
What's that?
Well, that means 2 people beat you.
Okay, well, I didn't make it to the championship in those other 2. But here's the thing. I won my baseball championship. I was in 4 football championships, won them all. And in the 2 leagues that I didn't make the playoffs, one is a dynasty league, one is a keeper league, I won the competition for the first overall pick in the draft. So in the playoffs,
so you're the best loser.
I went 15-0. I didn't lose a single game the last 3 weeks in 6 fantasy football leagues. So if anybody wants to bask in my glow and please refer to me now as the fantasy sports god going forward, that's okay.
So this is interesting because for this league, so you beat Zach.
I beat Zach. He had a great season, and he put up a good fight, but it wasn't enough.
Who was your first pick in the draft, out of curiosity?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts, who I didn't even use the last 2 weeks.
Well, my season got derailed the day CMC didn't play, so it was over for me.
That was it. So.
I won a fantasy championship. Not in this league, but I won a fantasy championship.
All right, who'd you beat? Anybody we know?
How many teams was it?
It was a 12-team league.
Woo!
First of all, winning this championship brought me back. I was about to retire.
I'm thinking about it.
See, here's the thing. I play in about 6 leagues myself per year.
That's crazy.
But I half-ass pay attention. I work a lot. So in order for me to watch my investment to try to get some type of return on investment, I either have to bring down the number of leagues I play in or just flat out retire. This league that I won, I made 11 moves all year. I didn't even realize I was in position to make the playoffs until like 2 weeks before the season ended. So I started paying attention. So walked away, get a nice little piece of change from that.
So now you're going to stay in 6 league? I think you got to cut it down if you can't.
I'm going to cut it down, but as far as you being the best fantasy football player, the fantasy guy,
talk about that.
I think that's out of pocket, boy. Like, with this 2025, we're not going to make diabolical, asinine statements in 2025.
Well, it may be diabolical, but it's not asinine.
Like,
but the thing is, like, we don't know the credibility of the people that's in the other league.
We don't.
You could be playing with a bunch of
No
scrubs.
offense to you guys.
Oh, here we go.
But
he's about to offend us. Go ahead.
In 4 of the 5 leagues, I'm playing with, like, top-tier players, guys that work on fantasy websites. Like, these are fantasy nerds that spend their whole lives on this shit.
Okay.
So I'm kicking some ass.
Congratulations.
And I like talking shit to them, especially.
I'm happy that 2025 has brought you some coins, some trophies. What you get, rings, trophies?
No trophies. I just want the cash.
Okay,
Cold hard cash.
Well, you're starting off on cloud 9 right now.
What's funny is, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, in this one league that I've been in for like 25 years, I was playing this guy Dave for the championship. Now, I have these 2 leagues.
Dave Richards?
No, not Dave Richards. No, but I want to get in a league with him. But this guy, Dave Herman, he's a dentist. He used to be my dentist when I lived in New Jersey. So Dave has been, we do these 2 football leagues with a lot of guys I've known for years, and we've brought in some other people along the way. He is the only person in 25 years, 2 leagues with 50 seasons essentially, that has never won. Never won a championship in 50 tries. That's crazy. And I was like, and I'm playing him for the championship, and I'm like, there's no way on my watch I'm letting you get your first victory.
I agree.
And I smoked him by like 100 points.
Your boy T. Higgins went off for me, though, in my championship
That's true.
game.
I had him in 2 of my championships.
Yeah, I had a nice performance from him. I had a nice performance from Lamar.
Yep.
Hey, random thought, and I know this is off filter. Chase Brown, right?
He's the best. He was the most. If you picked him up in the waiver, he won you a lot of games.
That attempted slide, try to play the clock management game. Like, maybe my bias was like I wanted him to score. He was on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
But he got himself hurt, right?
Yes, he did.
Players got to stop doing that, man. You just got to go score touchdowns.
Well, that was a controversial topic, but that's for another day. We'll get to it all later. Mike, what's going on?
All right, let's get to some. It's not breaking news because it happened 2 hours ago, but ESPN released an article detailing some of the Browns' dysfunction this season. We're going to dive into that after a quick word.
I thought you were talking about the White Sox signing Johan Rojas.
No, we're going to get to that in overtime, though, because we have a lot of White Sox fans who are very interested in that bull. But you guys, as you know, can tackle all of the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers can bet $5, get $250 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
And the Browns are the biggest underdog of the season, I believe.
18.5. We'll talk about that a little more in depth tomorrow. But if you guys missed it, Jeremy Fowler and Daniel Oyefusi, who covers the Browns.
Nice job pronouncing
from
his name.
ESPN, collabed on an article. You can take it here, Steve. But essentially, it detailed some of the things that went wrong with the Browns. This was Fowler's tweet, giving you a couple different factors in the quarterback battle. They're going to be looking for some starters' talent at the quarterback position. Watson will be in a camp battle. His injury history has to be a factor. Different coordinators have different opinions on him. It was also found out in the article that some players on the Browns didn't find out about the play caller change until Kevin Stefanski announced it to the media. Bold, Tyvis, Earl, when you guys read through the article, some of your big takeaways.
Well, one of the players said he didn't even realize it until he saw Ken Dorsey actually calling plays in practice that week.
Yeah.
That there was what's clear is there was no official announcement within the team. That's very strange. I don't know, Earl, go ahead. Start us off. What'd you take from this?
Some of my takeaways, and I put this on Twitter, my thoughts was reading about, the players finding out that Ken Dorsey was the play caller at the same time that some of us did.
Yeah, that's...
I thought that was not like Kevin Stefanski, not like the Kevin Stefanski we've grown to know. I thought that was a little messy. I thought lack of communication, and it kind of signaled to me just maybe this man really has lost the locker room. It just seemed weird. I thought the fact that, Deshaun Watson, I thought it was interesting. The coordinator said that he can still win QB competition in a few days based on his arm and athleticism. The whole bringing in, a quarterback, it's interesting to see how that'll go. So I just left kind of like more confused about what the hell is going on in Berea with the Cleveland Browns. I think when it comes to the Deshaun Watson aspect of things, he's clearly a part of the roster. I don't know if he'll be a part of the on-field plans. I don't know how these Achilles tears go, but they say it's about 18 months typical recovery time. I have a hard time trying to convince myself that he's in any part of on-field plans to start the season simply because he won't be healthy. And so when it looks at the quarterback situation, I'm a person that think a top 3 pick, you got to draft a quarterback. I've settled in on that. You just have to. I don't think Jameis is coming back. DTR don't really deserve to be on his roster anymore. And Deshaun is recovering from an injury. So you got to restart and reset somewhere. But this is why I kind of felt like the Browns needed to tear it down to the studs and blow it up. But even though we know that they're not, stuff like that is why. You hear Jameis Winston come in and say, well, I thought I was running the Kevin Stefanski offense. And then when he becomes the starting quarterback, Kevin just, casually hands over the play calling duty to Ken Dorsey. And without telling your team, like the media found out something before the team did, it's just ass backwards to me. So a lot of it left me more confused about what their plan truly is.
Travis?
Well, when I first seen it, I said that Jeremy and Daniel is what Jason, Shams, and who was the other guy for the Cavs? As soon as the Cavs season was over, they dropped the bomb. That's kind of how this was.
Yeah,
too.
I don't remember.
Lloyd, Joe Varden, and Shams.
Oh, yeah,
that's who it was.
Joe Varden.
This article was equivalent to that when it happened with the Cavs. That's the first thing I thought about. As I was reading through it, the AVP thing really was like, I thought that you. Like, I thought when you make these type of changes, this is like something you talk to the team, you talk to the offense, and hey, we're transitioning from AVP. We're going to go out and find somebody else, blah, blah, blah. You give them the reasons why, hey, whatever, boom, and then you go make your move. That's typically how it works. The fact that they had no idea, that's crazy. The Jameis Winston finding out, that Ken is calling the plays, to me, I had suspicions that Kevin and Jameis really didn't mesh.
Me too.
But when I read that, I said that confirms it right there. To me, it seems like it comes off as Kevin didn't want nothing to do with Jameis. So, hey, Ken, that's you. Handle that. Get him right. And I don't think as a head coach, as a play caller, that's the thing. You made your niche in this league as a play caller. And when things get bad, the reason that I respect Kevin so much is that he does a great job of getting everything back together and still going out there and calling a good game. And the fact that when it got bad this time, you said, y'all got it. I didn't like that. I don't respect that. And I that's a knock on Kevin. And I really never say anything negative about Kevin, but that one kind of took me by surprise that he would pull that move. And as you just read through the whole article, it shows you why the Browns are where we are. Just some of the stuff that they do, it doesn't make any sense. It's not the right way to handle it. You got to conduct yourself as a professional organization, and I just felt like y'all just left people out to dry and left people in the dark about a lot of the moves that you was making. I get that y'all want to respect it. They said it comes down to they want to make Kevin and AB, be the guys to try to fix all this stuff because it falls in their laps. And I don't know, you gotta inform more people of the plan. I feel like y'all coming up with decisions and not telling nobody why y'all making these decisions. Y'all just expect us to just go out in the blind. All right, they said it. That's what it's gonna be. We ain't gonna ask no questions. Why? We just gonna do it. And I don't think that's right. I think that's why we sitting here, because 2 people, or maybe 3, got it wrong. And for some odd reason, nobody's making these guys answer to why they got it wrong. Like, it's not being nobody asking for change. Well, I mean, out the fans are, but like inside that building, nobody's asking for change. Like, if Kevin and AB was the reason why you fired AVP, you got Deshaun and all these things, somebody got to be held responsible, like accountable for this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how why that's not even a topic of conversation in that building.
You know what this all sums up for me? It's a lack of professionalism. I heard an interview, or I heard a preview of or a clip of an interview with a pitcher named Bryce Wilson. It's going to sound a little off topic, but it isn't. I'll bring it back. Bryce Wilson, the last couple of years, was a relief pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. He just signed to be a free agent with the White Sox. And when he was asked about, because like the Brewers, in a way, are kind of like the Steelers. They're good every year, and then they don't do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But the Brewers are like that. Every year they're good. Like last year, I thought the Brewers were going to stink. They traded away their best pitcher, Corbin Burns. What'd they do? They won the division by 10 games.
Had the second best pitching bullpen.
Right. Right. With a bunch of names that most average fans don't know. Okay? And Bryce Wilson talked about, I went to Milwaukee and I learned how to be a professional. And I'm sure if you ask Steelers players, they'll say the same thing. Especially players that maybe had, what?
They got some names that I just want you to be careful. Easy.
What, Pickens?
Listen,
what did they do with the other guys that weren't professional? They got rid of them.
Yeah. Well,
Antonio Brown. They got rid of Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like they got some people on their team that ain't professional. But go ahead.
Who's not professional?
You already said one.
Okay, Pickens, one guy.
Okay.
I get it. It's one guy.
Go ahead.
But when
I just want to point it out.
Fair. Organizationally, the Browns don't run things like a professional organization, right? Jimmy Haslam creates an environment where everybody reports to him and there's a lot of infighting. Okay? I think for once that's actually not going on between the GM and the coach because I think they are on the same page. But in general in this organization, that has happened for years. There's a lack of communication within the organization. It's been a problem since Jimmy Haslam has been here. We've always had these issues with guys not being on the same page. This is not the first time with Kevin Stefanski. There was confusion multiple times last year. Who's going to be the starting quarterback this week? I don't know. DTR doesn't know. This guy doesn't know. We've seen these type of communication breakdowns happen because the Browns, to me, are a joke. They're not a professionally run organization, and that's what stands out from this article. That's the only thing that stands out from the article, is that there's more examples of being a clown organization. The way think about it. Last year, if you look at, even though they didn't win a playoff game, if you look at since they returned in '99, last year was arguably the best year in the modern history of the franchise. Because if you look at what the expectations were, especially if we would have said, hey, Watson's going to stink and then get hurt, you would have said they would have been a 5-win team last year going into the season under that scenario. And they didn't. They found out with bad quarterback play mostly, little better with Joe Flacco, but still very flawed. But with bad quarterback play, they won 11 games last year? 11 12. 11-6. Okay, and that's real. And they didn't even try in their last game, or they might have won 12. That Bengal game, the end of the season. They didn't have their starters in there. So they had a magnificent regular season. Yes, it ended ugly in the playoffs. And what did they do off maybe the best season in the modern history of the franchise? They turned over the entire offensive coaching staff.
Yeah.
From an offense that overachieved considering what they dealt with, including Nick Chubb, who I didn't even mention, who missed essentially the whole season. So this year, they brought in all these new guys. It's been a disaster. The offensive line coach was apparently replaced by Mike Vrabel, which we didn't even know.
Which makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
So I want to know what Andy Dickerson is doing.
Nothing. He's playing with his Dickerson. I'm not sure what he's doing, but you've got Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey, what has he done?
I wasn't expecting that.
Ken Dorsey's doing nothing. He's been a disaster. You brought in a new running backs coach. Why?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, man. Wow.
This team and this organization from top to bottom, I don't and part of this is Kevin, and I do think this reflects badly on Kevin. And I think I've said, I think the guy's a decent coach. I would move on.
From Kevin?
I would.
You would fire Kevin?
I would.
Kevin and AB or just Kevin?
I'd fire them both. Because here's why. Here's a big part of the reason why. Because if they get off to a bad start next year, they're getting fired anyway.
See, this is my thing. This is the way I see it, okay? Yeah. I think the way I look at it is I think Kevin, for so many years, Kevin has taken a lot of flack for a lot of stuff. Where play calling, decision making, things like that. And I think this was the first time Kevin said, all right, watch this.
No, it ain't.
Go ahead.
No, it ain't. It's the second time.
Go ahead. You call the plays.
It's the second time.
Call the plays. And we walked out there and see what was going on. It was a moment we was like, yes, Ken is good, Jameis is good. And then it completely just fell to crumble. Right. And we just
I don't like how he handled it, and I think it's true what you said about his relationship with I don't think he likes James.
I don't think he do.
Think about both points y'all making and then go back over his entire tenureship, right? It's always been lack of communication, and it's always been a sense of pettiness from Kevin Stefanski, right? When Baker Mayfield got hurt, and then Baker came out and said, I'll make the final decision on if I play or not, and Kevin just let him waltz his ass out there week after week, to me, that was Kevin being petty. It was one of those, okay, since you think you know everything, boom, go out and play and see what happened. And what happened? We had a bad season to the detriment of this fan base and to the football team. Here's another situation I felt the same way, that he really didn't vibe with Jameis Winston. And when I read that piece of the article, and the part that stood out was Jameis immediately going to Kevin, and Kevin saying, no, I just trust my staff. They got it. Yeah. It was very dismissive of your quarterback. Yeah. You're supposed to be like this quarterback whisperer. And it's like, to me, as the head coach of the team, when you showing a disinterest on the dude who's going to be up under center, then why should anybody else get behind you and believe anything that you're about to say when you're showing a lack of support for the quarterback? To your points about the communication breakdowns, it seems like over his tenure, there's numerous things that you can point to and say, well, that was bad communication. That was bad communication. I instantly thought about the Odell Beckham situation, right? Odell gets sent home after the video is dropped. We don't hear anything, and the next thing you know, he's off this team, and Baker just goes on, that's fine. What happens the next year when Baker pisses him off? Okay, cool. You just go out there and keep playing. To me, he has a tendency to be a little petty when he feels some type of way.
And Baker, that's true. And the way things ended between Baker and Stefanski was bad. Both sides handled it badly. There's stuff Baker did in that situation that led to him ultimately being traded. It's not as black and white as it seems. Also, I've heard, and I'm sure all you guys have heard, that Kevin Stefanski, let's just say, didn't coach Deshaun Watson as hard as he should have. And that's on him. Now, maybe Deshaun Watson's a big baby, you can't handle it, but if you're the coach, you gotta make him handle it. That's on you. You're the coach. So the whole thing's a mess right now. I don't think the current regime can solve it. I hate firing guys because I wouldn't
fire him.
Yeah.
I would. He definitely got to make some changes to his staff, because to me, it still doesn't make sense to me why you went and got Ken Dorsey as an OC. Like, never mind. I get why they did it. I get the whole we want to cater to Deshaun thing. But literally, like, they was talking about an article, I think it said AVP was 10th in points or 16th in yards, or vice versa. He was 16th.
It was 10th in points, 16th in yards.
Okay, then I was correct. Look at that. Yeah, see, you got a good memory. But I'm saying, so you move off him. All right, so did he get fired or was his contract up? Do we know exactly?
They fired AVP.
Okay, so.
And this is, by the way, the ranks you see are from this year. That's not AVP's ranks. That is the Ken Dorsey ranks this year.
So the interesting thing of fired is I truly think it could have been more of a mutual thing, because I think at some point AVP wanted to call plays. I think I'm not about to sit here and be the OC and just not call plays. Like I think that he got tired of that. He goes to the Patriots. He's actually the play caller and all those things. So I think he wanted to get there. And I think for Kevin, it was like, well, I need to go get a guy that specializes in shotgun because of Deshaun. But I think it ultimately caters back to the Deshaun Watson thing. I think that the offense that Kevin ran was very successful. It was fine the way it was. The problem was, I don't understand why you went and got a quarterback that didn't run the system that you ran. That, to me, makes no sense. Why go out there and get a quarterback that doesn't do under center play action and all those things when that's what's been successful for the Cleveland Browns? That's your team is literally made up because of your system. And you went out there and you changed everything for that. Like, that don't make sense.
We'll never know the truth. I think we'll never know the truth.
That don't make sense. It just and to move forward, I don't like. You have to go back to the under center stuff, and you have to get an OC that specializes in it. Go get somebody off of Kyle Shanahan's or Kevin O'Connell or Sean McVay's staff or something like that knows the system, because that's what you do. That's what you're good at. That's what this team is good at.
Everything you say and everything, I just don't think we'll ever know the truth, because we all got the same questions. Like, coming off that season, why would you fire Alex Van Pelt? Why would you fire Stump Mitchell? Why would you fire your tight ends coach and David Njoku, who just made the Pro Bowl? Yeah. Offense wasn't really the issue. Granted, Flacco threw 2 pick sixes in that game, but the defense got smoked. Yeah. So going the day after you fire everybody on the offensive staff, and then we really have no real, effective communication as to why. If you ask me, I don't think Kevin Stefanski wanted to fire AVP. I think he was forced to. I don't think he wanted to tailor everything to Deshaun Watson. I think he was forced to. Like you just said, man, under center play action, 2 tight ends, like power run game behind a strong offensive line. That's been the Brown staple since he's been a coach. And you mean to tell me all of a sudden, like, out of nowhere, you just going to change your whole philosophy? All of a sudden, you just going to hand over a play call? And now I just wish we can all ask Kevin why and get a real answer, and we never will.
And the only thing I'll say to that, though, is, to me, if you're a great coach, you got to be able to adjust to the talent you have.
That's true. I get that.
Yeah.
But still, your bread and butter, it's not like the system doesn't work. San Francisco just was in the Super Bowl last year.
Wasn't Deshaun Watson's numbers better under Kevin Stefanski's system than what it was last year running this version of Ken Dorsey's offense? So it's like, it's not even like Deshaun wasn't capable of running the system. I think what happened was
he didn't want to.
I think the owner looked at it and said, yeah, it looks good enough, but it don't look explosive. It don't look like magnificent. It don't look anything like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, granted, we didn't never see max potential Deshaun, but we seen him run Kevin's system good enough to have success. To where the man had over a 500 record, and I know to you,
I don't agree
that don't mean a lot, but I'm just saying, like, he quarterbacked us to more wins than not under that system, and he looked worse this year than he did at any year prior in Cleveland.
But this is to answer your point, your question, or your thought, I should say, where you was like, you got to adjust to your talent. Bull, you went through OTAs and you went through training camp. Any reporter that was at the joint practice with Minnesota said that the offense looked absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
If you're the main play caller and the head coach and you see that, at what point do you say this ain't gonna work? Like, this ain't it. We have no choice but to go. Like, why would you see that it's not working, see no success, and say, you know what, we're gonna go into the season?
Well, that's on the coach.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. That's why I keep saying he's petty, because I assume that he's being told to make these choices, and he sits back frustrated, knowing that he wants to do other things, and he just like, y'all got it.
We don't know that he's getting forced to do these things. He may be. If he is, it doesn't matter who the coach is. The Browns are never going to win. But I'm just going to go into the assumption that he's not being forced, because I just can't give him a pass. And if he's not being forced, then
that's even worse.
It is worse. It's not petty. It's just stupid.
That's even worse.
And real quick, in terms of the Watson angle of what was said here, I don't believe that Deshaun Watson's in the mix next year. I don't care what is said. That's insane. There's enough teammates here that don't like him. He hasn't been any good. It makes no sense to keep him on the team beyond a financial reason. So I mean, the guy hasn't been a good player in 5 years. So how many more chances are you gonna? How many more times are you gonna keep rolling him out and pissing everybody off? It just doesn't make any sense. to me.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
All right,
go ahead.
we go from a team that is in the middle of dysfunction to a team that can't seem to lose. That is the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you want to see them in person, Game Time is the way to get your tickets online. And in 2025, Game Time is making it easier than ever to get your tickets online, whether it's a sporting event or a concert. Think of the best memories you had last year. It was probably seeing something in person, and Game Time is making it easier than ever for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
It's game time.
Mike, let me ask you this question about the Cavs before we get into the topic you wanted to hit. Who's going to lose more games this year, the Cavs or the Browns?
It's funny you asked that because someone tweeted that at us, and I was like, well, you would think it's a no-brainer. But with the way the Cavs are playing, they may – these are regular season games.
Yeah. Well, the Cavs are going to – or the Browns are going to lose 14. I think we all agree they're going to lose to the Ravens, right?
Oh, you meant in 2014 versus –
in 2024 Browns versus the 24/25 Cavs.
The calendar year of 2025.
No, not calendar year. The entire basketball season.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
The way you worded it, I thought you were saying from here on out.
No.
Games.
No. So the Cavs have lost 4 games. The Browns are going to lose 14.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think the Cavs are going to lose 10 or more games the rest of the season?
I mean, it's possible.
I
don't see it.
If you had to bet right now,
I'll bet the Cavs under 10 losses.
Under 10 losses.
Yeah.
Which would be
like under 10 more. So like the 14.
Under 10 more.
Wait, under 10 more.
Where was
under 10 more?
What was the Golden State Warriors?
So it's a great time. So I'm glad you asked that because that's going to lead us right to the topic.
Right?
Yeah,
no,
7-3-9 right now.
Point.
If you look at the Cavs' records, these are the best records in basketball at the moment. The Cavs at 24-9 have the best record in basketball. The Thunder in second, 27-5. Celtics 24, Knicks 24-10. The Grizzlies have 23 wins, 11 losses. So to put this into context, because I think it is very important to give a little context to some of these numbers. The Warriors through 33 games. The Cavs are 24-9. The Warriors were 31-2, so slightly above. They are currently on a 72 win pace. That is the Cavaliers right now, which would be one shy of the Warriors' 73-win regular season record. They have an .879 win percentage at the calendar flip, so when the season goes into 2 years in the first part of the year. That is the 4th best win percentage ever. The history of the league when the calendar flips. And Steve, take tag board here full. And the other teams that have had that same level of success were those 2015-2016 Warriors who lost in the NBA Finals. The 07-08 Celtics with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. They won the championship, and the 95-96 Bulls, who also won the championship. Bull, we kind of laughed at it earlier in the season. We said, can they catch the Warriors? But I think it's time to start having that conversation. Can they catch Golden State?
I don't know. I mean, maybe not quite catch Golden State, but I don't think they're going to lose more than 14 games.
Me neither.
I'm with Earl. I think they'll win between – I think they're going to win about 70 games. I mean, they started off, 15-0, and now they've won, 14 of their last 15?
They started 15-0, so since then they're 14-3, yeah.
Yeah, but they
lost 3 out of 4.
It was 3 out of 5, I think.
It was the 2 Hawks games.
Right, but I think they've won. I think they're 14. I believe they're 14-1 in their last 15 games, or 13-1, something like that. Because they have an 8-game winning streak. They lost that Heat game, and they won a few, or whatever game, and they won a few before that too.
I know they was 12-1 in December.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Bull might be on to something though.
So I mean. Yeah, there's some. I mean, they're playing some really tough games coming up. You got 2 games with Oklahoma City coming up. You got 2 games with Dallas coming up. They're playing Indiana. They're playing Boston. So they'll probably drop a few games here and there. But have the Cavs ever lost less than the Browns? Probably not. What's the best record? The best record Cavs have ever had, 68, right?
The Cavs?
Yeah.
66.
Oh, 66 that year with LeBron.
66 and 16.
So that's 16. So the Browns. What year was that?
That actually, no way. Hold on.
It ain't the only.
That was 2018.
So. Yeah, no. So it wasn't. So the Cavs The Browns have never lost more games than the Cavs in the season, which makes sense because one team plays 16, now 17, and one team plays 82. But I think it's going to happen. I wonder if it's ever happened in the history of sports that an NBA team in a city has lost less games than the NFL team in the city in that same year.
Would you consider? So I'll look up because the Raiders were still Oakland,
right?
And Golden State. Does that count as the same?
Yeah, the Raiders probably lost more than 9 that year.
Would that count as 15 or 16? Which record should I look at? It was the 2015-16 season for the Warriors.
So you got to look at the 15 season.
I'll look at the 15
for
Raiders
the
record.
Raiders. And the Raiders sucked, so they probably lost more than 9 games that year.
They lost 9 games that year.
Exactly. So it was tied.
Tied.
All right, what about with the Bulls?
So Chicago in 95.
The Bears probably weren't that very good that year, although I could be wrong. Oh,
the Bears lost 7 games that year.
Okay.
So you're
So it's never happened, as far as we can tell.
No, it happened that year. The
Bulls.
Oh, you're right.
Warriors was a tie.
You're right.
Hey, this
you're saying the Bulls, yeah.
Only in Cleveland, don't it? It feels like only
this
in
might
Cleveland.
be the first time an NFL team in a city loses more games in a season where both teams played the full amount of games. Now, it's certainly not in the bag. The Cavs could lose 16 games and still have a still win the most games. No. If they went 67, it'd be 67 and 15.
Yeah.
So if the Cavs break their record for most wins, they will still have more losses than the Browns.
I'm just really having a hard time wrapping my mind around the fact that they're going to break the Warriors record.
You don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe it.
I would love for it to happen.
I don't think they're going to quite break it, but I think they're going to win 70.
It's so many variables that go into it. Like your team essentially has to be healthy for the entire year. Like,
and you can't have one bad. Like they lost 3 out of 5.
Yeah, like that. That's what I'm saying.
You can't have a streak any worse than that.
It's so hard to do that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day,
but we're almost at the halfway point of the season. We got 8 games.
If they break the Warriors record, they have
insane.
to win the ring.
Oh, of course.
Because I think it was the Bulls that had 72-10 on the thing without the ring. Like if you break their record, like you can't do what the Warriors did and not win it. Like,
by the way, the Thunder might break the record too.
Thunder are playing
their
incredible.
record's kind of the same as the Cavs.
The Cavs play the Thunder next week and then the following week again.
Yeah.
Both games on national TV. One thing about this current 8-game win streak, though, guys, that I want to mention. We talked about it a little bit on Tuesday, but then they won again on New Year's Eve on Tuesday night. They're not just beating teams. They're beating teams badly on a night-in, night-out basis. Each of these 8 wins have been by double digits. The average margin of victory during this 8-game stretch is nearly 15 points. Their point differential per game is at 12 right now. It's actually second in basketball behind the Thunder, who are 0.1 percentage points better, so literally neck and neck. But we're talking like historic levels of winning. Seriously, the Celtics last year, who won 64 games, their point differential was 11.4. Cavs this season, higher. You go back to the best team in the year prior, in 2022-2023. The Celtics won 57 games that year to lead the NBA. Their point differential, 6.5. They're at double that.
What was the Warriors that year?
If you go back to 15-16, the Warriors that year, 10.8. A full point fewer than where the Cavs are right now. I'm not sure if ESPN goes back to the 90s, but I can find that for you. It's not on this tab. But we're talking about legitimate levels of historical beatdowns the Cavs are handing out on a nightly basis.
The Cavs. How many times do you think the Cavs in a game have scored less than 110 points? Take a guess.
2.
That's correct.
Probably like
2 times.
One more stat for you real quick on the dominance.
And they haven't scored below 100 the entire season.
One more stat on the dominance, then I'm going to go look up the Bulls' point differential. The Cavs have 21 double-digit wins this year. They have 29 wins, 21 have come by double digits. Only 6 teams in the league have 20 or more total wins. They have 21 wins by double digits. Only 6 teams in basketball have more than 20 overall wins.
How many teams offensively, Mike, are not averaging at least 114 points a game?
Not
averaging below 114 points. Is it a lot of teams?
In the East, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in the West, you have under 114.
Yeah.
So 9 in the East, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the West.
Okay, so listen. Think about this for a second. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Cavs have only scored below 114, if I remember correctly, 3 times out of 33 games or whatever it is. I think they've scored below 114. And yet 19 of the other 29 teams, that's 2/3 of the league, are averaging less points per game, less than 114. The Cavs have scored at least 114 in all but 3 games, I believe.
So you got to score to beat the Cavs.
I think
it's crazy.
I think the Cavs can break the record. Will they? I don't know. And the reason why I say I think they can, I think J.J. Redick put it best. He says, you got to play damn near perfect basketball to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. And the main reason is because they actually 100% believe in whatever it is that they're doing. And when you have a team that's this bought in, that believes in their system, that's still installing their system, that didn't really have that steep learning curve, and that plays hard every single night, then it's possible to reset every single record that was already out there. I think the way that they're built, the fact that they play 10 or 11 deep, it makes everybody involved. And when you have everybody involved, I like to call the Cavs a balanced attack of mass destruction, because that's exactly what they play like. That's exactly who they are. And as long as they continue with this philosophy and continue to mentally buy in and stay focused and be willing to sacrifice to do whatever they got to do, then I think they can beat whatever, they can break whatever record that's out there.
Let me ask you, how do you think JB feels right now?
I think JB is looking at this as a learning lesson, right? Sometimes you know how once something passed, once a season passed, or once a situation ends, and you can look back and see what you did wrong and look at what you possibly could have did better. I think that old school philosophy and being a little stubborn and stuck in his way, not being innovative, I thought it kind of caught up to him. And this is the results of it. You got to be able to adapt with the change, with the times.
What is this? You think so?
Oh, I think he's pissed.
What is
the hell was this, Evan Mobley?
What is Detroit's record right now?
Detroit's 15-18. They're the 9th seed in the East right now. They've already won more games this year than they won all of last year. That's a good job out of him.
He's made them competitive.
He's doing a really good job in Detroit.
They're competitive.
He's the right coach for a young team that needs to find.
And then when you want to win, you got to get another coach.
Yes.
I don't think he wants that reputation. But
no, he doesn't. I found the point differential for the 95-96 Bulls.
20.
So the Cavs are 11.9 this year, second in the NBA.
Yeah.
I can't find a team. Now, I had to do some some calculator math, so it's not sortable. But the 95-96 Bulls had a plus 12.3 point differential, so slightly higher.
Yeah.
But going through every sortable season on ESPN.com to find that, I can't find anything higher than that.
Yeah,
so we're talking like
part
the
of it
echelon.
is the abundance of 3-pointers. Now, you could argue, well, the losing team's going to shoot more 3-pointers too. But part of this, Mike, isn't the bad teams in the league are really bad right now, aren't they?
I actually don't agree with that. No.
Right.
I think if you go back,
who are the worst teams? The Jazz and the Wizards?
The Pelicans, who are just having a horrendous season from hell. Everyone's hurt. The Jazz and the Wizards and the Hornets all are the 4 worst teams, 2 in each conference. They all have some dudes. Like New Orleans, everyone's hurt, but granted, they have some legit players. Utah, they were here last week. Like U-Bowl came out.
Yeah, I
thought
they
looked
better than
Washington. They may not have a ton of guys. Depends on what you feel about Kuzma and Jordan
Charlotte
Poole.
got some dudes,
but the Hornets have some guys like Brandon Miller could play, LaMelo can play.
Miles Bridges, they got some cats.
Yeah, they got some guys. It's hard to win in today's NBA because on any given night a team can get red hot from 3, and the Cavs. It just gives them a little more credence to what they're doing.
You say they got some dudes like LaMelo, but he's not a winning player. You've said that yourself.
He's still a competent basketball player.
Yeah, but there are too many guys that are AAU players in the NBA.
I don't disagree with that, but he's still a guy. He's like he can play. LaMelo
you wouldn't fear LaMelo?
I'd foul his ass. I'd hack him.
You hacky?
I'd hack him.
Melo a lock for 3 threes on any FanDuel ticket, just to let you know.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, a lock for 3
threes.
He averaged 30 points.
13 a game.
I'm just saying. No, I mean, I look at the Cavs, and to me, like, when I hear Kenny Atkinson talk about this team and making sure that they, stay locked in certain areas, he always lets us know that the Cavs are not going to always shoot the ball this way. And so when they don't, you got to make sure that you do the little things that can create winning habits. And when you have a team that's been together this long and you got a selfless leader like Donovan Mitchell, it closes that communication gap. And I think the communication is the main reason why the Cavs have been so dominant. that and chemistry on and off the court. Like, we can do a deep dive into all these advanced numbers about how many 20-point wins they got and all this. Well, every single advanced stat that we look at and say the Cavs is on a historic pace, that starts with chemistry and communication.
Yeah.
They couldn't be doing what they're doing if they didn't have the chemistry and the communication and the belief that what they're trying to do is working and can be attained. So
they are the anti-Browns.
I'm mad that JB took the joy away from Darius Garland.
Well, but now we've taken
he got it back, though. Yo, when I seen Darius get that and one, I ain't gonna say everything he said. He was like,
know what he said.
And effing one. I was like, I've never seen Darius that animated in my life.
Make Darius joyful again. There you go. Magic. No. MDJA. Madaja. I don't know.
Brad Daugherty said he was playing as like the most complete guard in the NBA right now.
Is he gonna make the All-Star?
I disagree with that. But
is he gonna make the All-Star game?
I think he will.
Mikey?
Darius?
Yeah.
I think he will.
So we talked about this on the Ultimate Cavs show yesterday. He is having an all-star caliber season. I don't think the Cavs are going to end up getting 3 all-stars.
They should. They got the third best.
He should.
Yeah.
I don't think he will. He deserves to be an all-star.
But when you have a record that's this good, doesn't that have to break some ties there?
That means you're assuming it's a tie.
Okay, so tell me the players that are just ahead of him.
Just going off guys who could be in the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know who the coaching staff is, but these are the point guard and shooting
Dame
guard. Shooting guards who are eligible
and
to
give
be
me
in
the
that
team and the record of that team, please.
I need 4 hands and 2 screens to have it all open at once.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 sec to pull this all
Let's
open.
do it.
Make sure y'all, I'm going to take this time out to say, make sure y'all go check out the Ultimate Cavs version like from yesterday that McNuggets did.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that yet.
And make sure you like and subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, man. And ring that bell to stay in the notifications for all the Ultimate spinoff shows that we got going on here.
We're getting close to 50,000 subscribers, so maybe you could be the 50,000th. So join us. Go ahead, Mike.
And we have Shaun King in the wing, so we'll do this. We'll wrap up. We'll bring Shaun in. But these are guys, Bull, I'm not putting them in any order. I'm just reading down the list of Eastern Conference guard who have some sort of case to be in the All-Star discussion. And I'm going to take Brunson and Mitchell out because they're going to be the 2 starters. So they're not eligible for the other conversation. Tyrese Maxey, who the 76ers this season are not having a good year. They are 13 and 18. Maxey is averaging 26 points.
Don't care. Don't care about his stats. Losing
rebounds,
team.
5.5 assists.
Yeah, we all out. We all out.
Losing
You
team.
keep going.
That's by the way, that's why Myles Garrett he's not defensive player of the year. The team's got 3 wins. Sorry. Goodbye.
Bull gave me the assignment. Give me a player, his stats, and his record before I even got
No, I didn't say his stats. I said the player, the team, and the team's record. I didn't say the stats.
Fair.
I don't care about stats.
So with that being said, then you would eliminate LaMelo Ball as well, Bull.
LaMelo Ball, no thanks. Your
I'm
team
just
sucks.
giving you names. Just giving you names. Just giving you names.
He's putting up empty stats.
I agree with that. Damian
They say the
Lillard
same
on the
about Joe
Milwaukee
Burrow.
Bucks. The Bucks right now are 17 and 14. Dame is averaging 25.2 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 7.6 assists.
Yeah.
Dame Dollar.
All right. But I'm already out on Maxey and Ball.
What about Dame Dollar?
I'm just going on the list. We keep going.
Who else?
Cade Cunningham this year. The Pistons we just mentioned,
see
15
ya.
and 18.
See
Cade
ya.
is a lock. He's going to make the team. Just
This
heads
is
up.
ridiculous. It shouldn't just be about just stats.
What do you mean?
It shouldn't. It shouldn't matter in basketball. The stats are. If your team sucks, your stats are meaningless.
How?
Because in the other sports, like if you're the Browns, okay, Jerry Jeudy's having a good season, but if you're a bad team, you could have nobody having good stats, not a single player, right? You don't have to. There doesn't have to be one guy having a good year on a bad team. Same in baseball. If you're a the White Sox, they had nobody that was any good. Nobody. In basketball, no matter how, you could be the worst team in the history of the NBA, you're going to have somebody put up stats. Because there's points, a lot more points scored in basketball. Somebody's got to score. So those stats are meaningless, especially in Ball's case when that team is horrible.
Cade Cunningham is going to make the All-Star. I'm just telling you right now he's going to make the
I'm
All-Star.
not saying whether he is or not. I'm not telling you he's not going to make it. And they're at least competitive, Detroit.
And he's averaging 24, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds.
Fine. Okay, but Mike, would you agree that LaMelo Ball stats are completely meaningless?
Meaningless, no. Overinflated, yeah.
Of course.
And I'm not making the case
He's a chucker. He's not trying to. His goal when he gets on the court, Darius Garland's goal is to win. LaMelo Ball's goal is to pad his stats.
Earl, is anyone arguing that LaMelo should be in over Darius?
No, sir.
Okay.
None of us are arguing that.
Let's bring up Shaun King.
We got two more real quick. Yeah, Trae Young.
Mikey versus Bull all 2025.
No one's arguing for LaMelo.
That's true. You're right.
But it's a really loaded. Jaylen Brown's in the guard conversation because it's all considered guards.
He's supposed to be.
So it's going
supposed
to be
to have,
tough.
like, these
He's having an all-star
resolutions,
season no matter how you want to break it down. And hopefully the Cavs, because they do deserve 3, get 3 in the all-star game. We're going to bring Shaun King in, guys. After a quick reminder that FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and with the NFL playoffs right around the corner, it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. Not only can you bet on who will win the game, but you can also bet on which players will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. That way, you'll be set for the biggest games of the year. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And with that, let's welcome in Shaun King to the show. How you doing, Shaun? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody. And please don't put Darius Garland and LaMelo Ball in the same sentence or conversation. One is an elite basketball player. The other one should be a 4th option on a championship team. I'll let you guys decide which is which.
Wait a second, Shaun.
I sure hope you talking Darius.
He's not an elite player. He doesn't make anybody better.
I sure hope you mean Darius
Who's he
is
making
an elite
better?
player.
Absolutely not. I've told you guys, and listen, shout out to the show, man. I live in Vegas, and there are more people that have come into my private cigar lounge that are from Cleveland or visiting Vegas that watch this show. So shout out to you guys and supporters. I'm telling you, I'm repeating what I said earlier. If Darius Garland is your second option offensively, you're not winning a championship.
Well, he's not the Cavs' second option, but he's a hell of a player.
On most nights he is.
I disagree with that.
You out of line.
Hey, Shaun out of pocket. Everybody out of pocket in 2025.
You out of line. You need to cut this out right now. You out of line. I can't believe
Don't buy the Darius Garland hype. I'm just telling you, you set yourself up for a letdown.
Has LaMelo Ball?
It ain't hard. He out of line.
It's okay.
He out of line.
Has LaMelo
You know what?
Ball?
I pray. You better pray that when these playoffs come, you better pray. You better pray that Darius don't go off. You better pray. Yeah, because I promise you, I'm going to send you every GD stat line from every game.
In big moments, Darius shoot like the basket moving, man. You know how you have to match the baskets up on the video games, man. Come on.
Damn, Shaun.
I was trying to look at Bulls playoff stats, but here's the problem. He's never played in the playoffs.
Hey, Shaun, look, I ain't never been on the panel when you've been on the show, man. You do great work. I got a question for you. I know you're not high on any of the quarterbacks that's in this class, right? But hypothetically, if the Browns said we're going to take a quarterback with a top 3 pick, in your opinion, which quarterback coming out fits the Browns best?
I think Cam Ward is the most talented. I don't think any of them are deserving of being high first-round draft picks, but they are because of supply and demand. I don't think that's the right environment to bring a high draft pick quarterback into. I mean, who's going to mentor him? Deshaun?
No.
Like DTR, to put a young quarterback into that environment, I think is like self-destructive in a lot of ways.
It'll be Kirk Cousins.
No, I think and Shaun, you and I are on the same page. I know we've argued a lot, but you and I are on the same page here. I think the Browns are making a huge mistake if they draft a quarterback in the first round. They need to fix other things on this team. And to bring in a guy like, if there was a quarterback that you were sure was an absolute sure thing, okay, that's a different story. But when you're talking about quarterbacks who have question marks, as you mentioned, as these guys do, I'm not messing with that when I'm the Browns. It's not the right time.
Well, I don't want to misspeak, but I thought the restructure of Deshaun's deal kind of guarantees that he's back on the team next year.
So, they said for the next 2 years.
No, it doesn't guarantee it.
Makes it highly likely
Yes.
And so, like, young quarterbacks are very impressionable. So to put a young quarterback into that environment, I just don't think that's the right thing to do at all. And I'll say this: when you watch Cam Ward and you watch Shedeur Sanders, here's the feel I get: they're less talented versions of Caleb Williams. Like their game mimics Caleb's game. It's a lot of ad lib. It's a lot of run around, make plays. They just don't have the arm talent or the elite athleticism of Caleb. So I truly think if they don't go to the perfect situation, especially Shedeur, they're going to struggle. Now, I think Cam's a slightly better athlete than Shedeur, but he's also fundamentally very unsound. And so I think both guys, if in a perfect world, I think both guys are draft and sit for a couple of year kind of guys if they want the best chance for success.
Let me ask you about your boy Jameis, because it was coming out in this article that was just written a couple of hours ago that Jameis, once he found out he was becoming a starter, he went to Kevin. Kevin said, my staff will handle you and those things. My question is, you seen the offense that Jameis was a part of. Do you think he would have been better suited had he been in Kevin Stefanski's scheme or his offense? Do you think he would have done better?
I still think Jameis is the best fit at quarterback.
We know.
I still do.
We know. I hope if he gets re-signed or whoever signs him, you better tell him that you want 2%, 3%, because you have been his best agent that we've seen.
Well, but here's why. It's only because the film doesn't lie. And I'm telling you, at that position, I'd rather say woe than sick him. Now, does he get careless at times with the football? Yes. Be honest with yourself. Have you ever thought the Cleveland offense at any point was more dynamic than when Jameis was at quarterback?
No.
Had the capability to create explosive plays, made the game kind of exciting to watch, entertaining. Like, that's what he brings to the table. You don't get that when you see DTR. You didn't get that when you saw Deshaun. It was just frustration.
Shaun, let me ask you this. Forget Mahomes for now. Okay. You're the general manager of the team. Forget contract. Contract doesn't matter. Let's assume they all have the exact same contract. You're starting a team right now. 3 choices. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Who you taking?
I can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. I agree.
Yeah,
but who you taking?
I'm the kind of guy, like, I don't have to diminish or demean LeBron to say that I think Michael Jordan's the greatest ever.
That's fair.
So I'm just gonna say I can't go wrong with those 3 guys. I think they all are championship caliber quarterbacks. You can win a championship with either of the 3, so I wouldn't go wrong. But I'll be honest, if you gave me one quarterback right now, moving forward, I'd take Jaden Daniels.
Whoa. I love Jaden Daniels, but wow, you take him over all 3 of those guys?
Yep, he's younger.
All right, he is younger. I'll give you that.
That's funny.
He hasn't reached that status yet, though, but you think he's going to get there.
When you got it, you got it. It's like when you know how to evaluate sports, you don't look at Darius Garland and say that he's better than LaMelo Ball.
Wait a minute.
It's about understanding sports.
Hey, what about, I'm curious.
You don't think that he will suffer a sophomore slump like some people that I know?
C.J. Stroud?
I think he's more talented than C.J. C.J. is a very accurate quarterback when he's on his game. He throws the ball in rhythm. Like, Jaden is a Lamar Jackson caliber athlete. And he has immense and elite arm talent, and he's bigger. I mean, at least height-wise than C.J. He's probably got to add a few pounds, but, I mean, a lot of what's happened to C.J., too, is things are breaking down around him. I do, for the first time in his career, think that he's getting a little emotionally hijacked as well. And to play that position, you have to have bulletproof emotions, but he'll learn from it. I'm not down on C.J. Stroud.
Yo, Sean, back to what Tyus was saying about the marriage between Jameis Winston and Kevin Stefanski. If the Browns were to consider Jameis like being in the plans for next year, based on like what we read in the article, he went to he assumed he was going to be running Kevin Stefanski's offense. He went to Kevin once he found out Ken was the play caller, asked him basically what's going on. And Kevin was kind of cold shoulder. My coaching staff, I handle you. Like, the Browns need Jameis kind of more than, Jameis need the Browns, in my opinion. if I'm Jameis, what is it about Cleveland that makes me want to return just after this year?
I mean, I do feel like he rejuvenated and revived Jerry Jeudy's career. I think before Jameis was the quarterback, people were looking at Jeudy as a bust, like that trade is a debacle. And all of a sudden, maybe that relationship, I would be, if I'm not speaking for Jameis, but if I was Jameis, I wouldn't trust the Cleveland organization after they bench me. And I get it. The turnovers were there, but hey, man, look, it's not like the team was going anywhere anyway. And we're trying to win. I'm already trying to win. I'm never going to apologize for being aggressive and trying to win. Now, I've got to do a better job of understanding situational football at times and when to be aggressive and when not. But, again, I'd rather say woe than sickle. To answer your question directly, it's probably come down to options. What other options are out there? If Cleveland's the best option, then stay. If he gets an option to go somewhere else, potentially be a starter, then I'd say take advantage of that as well.
Okay, so let's say that Jameis decides to come back to Cleveland. Let's say that they even now announces him as the starter for next year. If you're Jameis, what are you asking for change-wise? If you have the power to do that, what needs to change? Whether that's the staff, whether that's the play calling, whether that's position groups, what is the one thing that you want for Jameis to help him succeed for next year with the Browns?
Well, the first thing I want is for Jameis just to spend some time with me, and let's go over risk management. Just give me about 2 weeks, and let's go over every interception he's thrown in his career. Let's evaluate the risk factor and quotient, and start really pouring into him about not to be less aggressive, but when to be as aggressive, if that makes sense. Secondly, I think what Cleveland has to decide is who they want to be. If they want to be a downhill, hard-nosed running team, then you got to address the offensive line, and you've got to address the running back position. Teams that run the ball effectively now either have an elite number one or they have a stable of 2 or 3 guys that are all legitimate, i.e. the Detroit Lions. Or you got to have a Saquon or a Josh Jacobs or one of these guys, or Derrick Henry. And no offense to Nick Chubb, but Nick Chubb did not look like the Nick Chubb that, we know. Jerome Ford's not a number one back. He's a complimentary back. He's a guy that can help you on special teams from a return situation. Pierre Strong's not a number one back. And, of course, everybody knows DeAndre Foreman isn't. So get the talent and the skill set there if that's what Stefanski wants to be, which is a run-first team, and do it. I'd also tell Njoku, you got to come with me, man. We're going to start from square one. Your stance is garbage. Like your back hurt when you lined up out there. Your route running is bottom third for the tight end position. Let's really work on lowering our hips, getting in and out of breaks, and help those guys improve and get better and where they're deficient. Then you got to add, last thing, you got to add a receiver opposite Jeudy, a legit one.
Shaun, last thing. If the Browns got you off the couch today, could you give them a better chance to win than DTR?
First of all, I'm not on the couch. I'm in my office. You see behind me.
All right. If they got you out of the office chair.
And secondly, absolutely not. I'm not going to disrespect DTR like that. But I did say the worst thing that happened for DTR was to get put in the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to stay on the sideline and have people think you can play than to get out there and actually have to show people whether you can play or not. And in this situation, it's a lose-lose for the kid.
Yeah. Shaun, good stuff, man. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, give me a LaMelo Ball jersey. LaMelo Ball jersey, man. This Darius Garland stuff has to stop.
Nobody's going to LaMelo Ball's game, so there's probably a lot of shirt jerseys available.
You out of line. You need to check yourself. You need to check yourself.
Be great today, man. Happy New Year.
See you later.
I'm going to get a text from Shaun after this being like, screw the quarterback breakdown. We're breaking down LaMelo Ball and his 31-point on 43-shot performance against the Toronto Raptors. We appreciate Shaun, though.
That was a big performance.
We'll see him soon. We're guys going to move over to some Ohio State talk in a second. But I love to go to live events, whether it's sports, concerts, comedy shows, theaters, whatever you think it is better live. And one of my favorite memories in 2024 was getting to see Max Strus hit the almost full court buzzer beater against the Mavericks last season. If you want to have a chance to witness moments like that in person, you better be using the Game Time app and their new feature, Game Time Picks. It filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on the best seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account and use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
Tyvis, Ohio State's really freaking good. The floor is yours.
Yeah, they look like the best team in college football right now.
Cook.
Yeah, man. It went about the way that I kind of said it would. I know people didn't want to hear that. People didn't want to believe that. It's just nice to see them finally put things together. And the question is, well, why haven't they been doing this all year? And that's a fair question to ask. I think that I was talking to McNuggets about this on the post game. I actually believe that the team up north game taught more than people realized it did. Everybody was so out on this team after they lost that game, and rightfully so. I get why. But in that game, what I think they've learned is that we got a dude on our team that nobody can stop. It's like Marv last year, but a little bit better. Like, this dude can't be stopped by nobody. And in that game, the team up north game, they forgot that. They fell into their own little trap where they wanted to do this physicality thing.
He's 18, right?
Yes.
He would be. I heard somebody say today he'd be the first pick in the draft.
Yes, he would be.
Yeah.
And I think that because of the way that they lost that game, because of the scrutiny they got, they went back to, listen, we got to get number 4 the ball. Whatever it takes. They're going to try to double them. All right, we know. Oregon knows who number 4 is now. We're going to try to double them. All right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put you in the slot. We're going to send you in motion, throw you the ball out the backfield. They can't double you that way. We're going to let you use your athleticism. Boom, he scores a touchdown. All right, you still want to double them on the outside? All right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put you in the slot. We're going to put you in a bunch formation so they can't double you out the bunch formation. Boom, he gets one-on-one with his safety, turns him around, boom, touchdown. So Chip Kelly has gotten very creative, and they realize that nobody can do anything with number 4. And now you can become that physical team because you open the game up with the pass. Guess what? Now that the box is light. Now run the ball all you want. Travion Henderson, boom, pops it up there, 60-something yard touchdown. So they really are cooking defensively. I tell you what, I was impressed with how they did things defensively because going into that game, I wasn't necessarily worried about the secondary. That wasn't it because I understood. Listen, one thing about Tyus, I know defense and I know secondary play. One thing I know is—
You just refer to yourself as the first person?
Third. Yes.
Third person.
So the one thing is that if you so Tez Johnson is a really good wide receiver, very fast wide receiver, really threatens people with his speed. He's coming off of one of his biggest games in the Big Ten championship, 10 catches. I think he had like 180-something yards. Broke the record for the Big Ten receiving game, Big Ten championship receiving game. How you stop that, because they run a lot of over routes. How do you stop that? Well, you instead of trying to depend on a man-to-man scenario, what you do is you take one of your top safeties and you make him a robber. So if he runs an over route, boom, I'm going to just jump the crosser and we got you there. So funny thing is it's like they was listening to me. They took that and Caleb Downs ends up almost getting the interception on the play. But what I was really impressed with the most was Dylan Gabriel reminds me a lot of Tua Tagovailoa. Let me explain. Tua gets the ball out of his hands 2 seconds, 3 seconds, so you really can't get to him because he does a great job of just getting it out of his hands. And I was worried, this pass rush, it's I don't know if they're going to actually get there to him because he's going to get rid of the ball. Well, what they did was the secondary got so good and they started taking away his read so much that he held the ball for longer than he wanted, and it allowed that pass rush to get there. Going into this game, he got sacked 13 times on the season. They sacked him 8 times last night. So, it went hand in hand. That secondary showed up, and it allowed that pass rush to work, and they was frustrated. And don't get me wrong, Oregon has been a great addition to the Big Ten. They had a phenomenal season. First year in the Big Ten, they go undefeated. They win the conference. But they're not ready for that championship run just quite yet. Not saying that they won't be because they dominated the transfer portal. They dominated in recruiting, and Dan Lanning is a really good coach. So they'll get there eventually. But this one meant more to the Buckeyes. The path that they got was perfect. You had to go against the SEC team that you never beat, Tennessee. You beat them. Oregon, you had some stuff on your mind because of how you lost earlier in the season. Then you look at Texas next. Will Howard comes out and said, I never beat Texas when I was at Kansas State, so it's motivation there. And then
I'm saying the winner of that game is the champ?
The winner of this game was the champ to me.
Oh, you don't think Texas has any chance?
Or Texas got a good offense and defensive line, so I think that the trench play will be very interesting. They also are number 1 in the country in takeaways, so they're going to do some stuff to try to get Will Howard. I think there's going to be, for the first time since the Wolverine games, I think OSU will experience adversity, but I do think they come out victoriously.
Who do you think is going to win tonight, by the way?
I think Georgia's going to win. I know they got the backup quarterback, but I think Georgia's going to win. I actually think Georgia probably makes it to the national championship. I just think when I look at it, it's going to be a defensive game, and I just don't know how much I trust Riley Leonard for Notre Dame. That, to me, is the big factor. But I think both defenses are going to play lights out. I think it'll be close. I got like 17-14 Georgia.
I think you did a great job laying all that out. I ain't got that much. I told Mike upstairs when I looked at that game, Ohio State played like it was personal. See, like, spitting on somebody is like the absolute nastiest thing that you could ever do.
Still would have whooped
and
him.
the amount of disrespect that came from that, Ohio State held on to that. Like, Michigan lost, be damn. Everything we went through, be damn. Once Ohio State seen that they were going to get an opportunity to play Oregon again, like, everything else went out the window. This was man to a man. We was disrespected as a football team, and they went out there, like you said, they put belt to ass, and they continued to put belt to ass throughout the entire game. It was total domination. What they did learn is
Joe Jackson would be proud.
Yeah, he definitely would be proud. And like Tyus said, they got that dude at wide receiver, and they exploited that dude, and Oregon couldn't do a damn thing with him. But to me, this was a product of being absolutely disrespected, and when you get disrespected, you get handled.
Ryan Day, I've crushed the guy a million times. He deserves a lot of credit. He's done a very good job. I know it's easy if you're someone like me who's been crapping on Ryan Day to just, instead of giving him credit for these wins, say, where was this against Michigan? And that's a fair thing to say, but you also got to be fair about it.
Yeah.
He has had, as much as he did not have the team ready to play against Michigan, and disappointing as that was, ultimately, it's about winning a championship. And if they do that, then who cares about the Michigan game? And he has had them as ready to play as you possibly can be in these two games so
I don't
far.
think you could deny the fact that he loves his players and his players love him. You could tell I was actually looking at some of like the locker room stuff after the game, and one of the players was like, this is one of the best effing coaches in the country. Like, they pointed him and had him on the live and things. So, like, they definitely love and appreciate him. And I just, like I was telling Mikey, like, to this senior class, like, this is it. Like, if y'all don't win the Natty, like, there's nothing to come back
There's a lot of wasted talent.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you potentially could go down as the most overrated class.
Right.
So, I think they realize that, like, when you get older, like me, 30 years old, like I took my kids to the Woody, and it's like I could go up to the national championships like Daddy did this. So I can go to it's like the Team Up North board. I can be like, look, that's me making that play right there. Like, they don't have those moments. They have now 2 Rose Bowl wins, and that's kind of it. So, like, for them, they have to win it all and be like, so they can be proud of something. Right. I know that they didn't win against the Team Up North, but like, if that banner's hanging in there to shoot, like, we did that. Like, so, like, to me, this is their last shot at that, and I think that they're doing an absolutely good job of doing everything they're supposed to do to make that happen.
So I talked to Tyus about this on the postgame show last night, but Bull and Earl, I'm curious your guys' opinion. It seems like this Ohio State offense, when Will Howard's dialed in, they're basically unbeatable with all the weapons they have on offense, and he's had his fair share of stinkers. Michigan was certainly not a shining embodiment of what Will Howard can do. Yesterday against Oregon, he was incredible. Or what's your confidence level in Will Howard putting together 2 more really good starts to help close this thing out for Ohio State?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably about a 5. I just think Will Howard has been very inconsistent, and that Michigan game was big. And when I seen him, like, trying to motivate the troops pregame, it didn't do anything to, like, make me feel like, okay, this is a big game, a big moment, and he got this, right? Now, since that loss, maybe because of that loss, he's relaxed some and just kind of let it be. But, like, I would go at a 5 just on the strength, like, I feel like he's inconsistent. And, if Will Howard plays like he played yesterday, then we're going to win the Natty easily, no questions asked. But you didn't put that type of game out there on film. And you just alluded to Texas leads the country in takeaways.
Yep.
So we'll see, what counterpunch Will Howard can throw once they actually start punching at him.
Well, there's a little beef going on because you think Caleb Downs was a finalist for the Thorpe. The Thorpe winner went to Texas. JJ was supposed to win Freshman of the Year. It went to the linebacker from Texas. I told you, Will Howard never beat Texas. So it's some stuff there that's going to make this game interesting where I think it's some personal vendettas that'll go on that'll help propel them. Like I said, I got some questions and concerns with Quinn as a quarterback. As far as his deep ball goes, I think he hangs his deep ball up a little bit too long and it allows DBs to make a play. You go back and watch, them versus Arizona State. He's got Isaiah Bond on the post route, but he hangs it up there and the corner comes back and picks it off at a critical moment of the game, like at the end of the game. So I got my concerns there, but like I said, that defense is going to be an interesting game. I know right now it's 4.5. The opening line is 4.5. Buckeyes favored by 4.5. I think it'll be closer than people anticipate.
Yeah, I'd say my confidence level in him is like an 8 right now. I mean, I know you're right. He's had some inconsistent play. He obviously didn't play well against Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he played particularly great in the
Tennessee game.
No, yes,
he
played okay against Oregon the first matchup.
He was okay.
He played okay.
He didn't play great in the Northwestern game. He didn't play particularly well. There was one other game in the middle of the season. Nebraska that he didn't play very well.
Awful.
But he looks like a different guy right now.
Yeah.
And, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, he's very talented. And I think part of the reason he struggled so much in the Michigan game is because they had a terrible game plan. I don't put it. I mean, some of it is his fault. Sure.
I still think when he got hit like that, I'm curious. I don't know if they was checking him for concussion or a shoulder, but I'm curious because I know he ended up throwing a touchdown after that, but like he just wasn't the same after that hit. So I know they're never going to come out and say what it truly was, but I do think he was affected by that.
But right now they clearly look like the best team in college football.
Yeah.
They have the most talent. They should win the national championship. I still don't like Ryan Day for personal reasons, but I give him his credit. It doesn't matter if I like him or not. He's doing a good job right now, and I think clearly he's – I don't know if he was going to get fired anyway, but it seems like he's probably saved his job.
I don't think he was getting fired regardless.
But it looks like even if he was, he's probably saved his job at this point.
Yeah, I think he done enough to at least, for the fan base to be like, you know what, we can see it through for another year or two.
Yeah.
Now the interesting thing is it one of those things where he does so well that he'd be like, all right, I won the Natty, I'm going to the NFL. Wouldn't that be funny? I completed. Boom, I'm going.
I don't think anybody in the NFL's hiring him as a head coach.
He's a good play caller.
He'll get hired. I wouldn't care.
Maybe he's an offensive coordinator.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, not as a head, as an OC.
Okay. I guess that's possible. All right, well, so now they'll play Tech. When's the date of the next game? I can't remember.
Next Friday.
Next Friday.
7:30 p.m.
Right. We do have a game tonight because of that awful incident that happened in New Orleans yesterday.
4 o'clock is kickoff, by the way.
They moved it back. Okay, so it's today at 4 o'clock. So there you go. But just awful. There was another shooting somewhere else yesterday.
Yes.
Not the New Orleans thing wasn't a shooting. It was
and we're going to talk about the
terrible
non-call targeting situation in the Arizona State-Texas game, which drew a lot of controversy in overtime. We're going to bring Bernie Kosar in here to help us wrap up the show. Guys, you missed it. We did an Ultimate Cavs show yesterday. It's on the YouTube page. Jason is still in the Bahamas, so I brought 2 of my friends on to help talk Cavaliers basketball. If you like Tony Pesta and or Ethan Sands from Cleveland.com, they joined me to talk a little Cavs basketball yesterday. We talked about the 2 wins over the weekend, or over the last 2 days. Darius's all-star case, why the Cavs should be considered title contenders, and some New Year's resolutions. Plus, Earl is recording a 216 show today with Cecil, and we got Cecil added to the graphic. So make sure you guys check out that. Earl, it is coming today, right? I didn't jump the gun?
Yeah, it is coming today.
Perfect.
Cecil is officially a part of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show team. So.
Shout out to Cecil.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys check out that when it hits the YouTube page. And with that, Bernie's in the house. What's up, Bernie? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Bernie, how are you?
Bernie?
Very good, man.
How do you – I mean, you're all over the place. How do you keep – you have someone that takes care of your schedule for you?
No, actually, I'm handling it poorly myself right now, but I am getting all over, and I've got a college football segment as the Buckeyes dominated, and Will Howard last night, and Medina's Mr. Ohio, Drew Aller, and Penn State. I'll be heading down to the Orange Bowl game next week, speaking of going places.
Let me ask you, since you wanted to talk about college, let's ask about your alma mater. What do you have to say about the Cam Ward thing, him getting the record and then sitting out?
So I actually can't believe that Shedeur Sanders played the whole game the other day and that Cam Ward actually played a half in the game. And hats off to both of them for playing in the game and in this new age of NILs and college football, and guys, whether it's this new age or the past, guys they've been turning down the college bowl games for the last, say, 5 or 10 years. So to have the top couple picks in the draft actually playing in the games that weren't for the national championship, I was actually pretty amazed. And Shedeur Sanders got his butt kicked. I mean, they didn't block anybody in their game. So the risk he took health-wise, I was actually really surprised at that. I didn't know Cam was in it playing a record. I thought it was
there's like most passing TDs or something.
Career.
He said for him, he's had so many of them, and he actually broke one of my records as the most yards passing as a Hurricane quarterback. And people ask me, they're like, man, you had to be bummed out that Cam got one of your records. I'm like, damn, it's so old I didn't even know I had it. I was actually thankful he did it because I didn't know it was still there.
I can't believe people criticized him for, I mean, the
Getting
game
out
is
the game?
It's the Pop-Tart Bowl. Who cares?
I can't believe he played in the Pop-Tart Bowl to start with. I mean, look, it's not because of you. I mean, it's. I know more of him because of this, but I love the way he plays football. I love this patience. I mean, in the game, for him to take that risk of playing is one thing, but then I was one of the probably few fans watching the Pop-Tart Bowl to see, and not to see because from a Kane perspective. I wanted to see how he was going to play. And bluntly, to make sure he doesn't get hurt and stuff, and then to see his level of calmness in there. He threw a couple of throws where, again, I'm sitting down and we're on TV and stuff, but man, the calmness of his feet, the way he's able from his lower body down to be able to just, with people flying around him, to have such calmness and stillness and still then make those throws. He's ready for the pros. I'm really looking forward to watching him play.
It's funny you said that, Bernie, because we had Shaun King on earlier, and Shaun King didn't give Cam Ward that ringing endorsement. He felt like none of these quarterbacks should be high picks, and he said that, if it was the Browns that come calling, that Cam Ward really wouldn't work out because of the Cleveland Browns organization and the quarterback situation. If you look at
that's a problem for young quarterbacks looking at us. I mean, look, I'm biased that I love us here in Cleveland, but if you're objective from the outside looking in, and you've watched the 38 quarterbacks that have preceded whoever's going to be the quarterback next year, we don't do a good job of building and nurturing quarterbacks, and this has been a graveyard for young, medium, and old quarterbacks. So that's absolutely something you have to rectify.
Could your boy Cam, could he overcome those hurdles here in Cleveland, do you think?
Well, I really think that yes is the short answer, and it's not because he's a Hurricane, and I'm not just saying for blind loyalty, but yes, with the caveat of it's imperative that we rectify the personality issue of who we are offensively. Okay, and that was a whole cry of this whole season. It's been one of the main things we've talked about, whether we're talking about Cam Ward and or the success or failure of the 2024 Browns, what went wrong with Deshaun, what went wrong with the offense and stuff, trying to be all things to all people with running the ball, throwing the ball, shotgun, 2-minute drill. If we concise our offense, and I believe, and this may scare Shedeur Sanders, and this may scare Cam Ward, and to say that we aren't going to be a spread team right off the bat. that we're going to be a Kevin Stefanski more of the 2022 Browns or 2023 Browns, the successful Joe Flacco offense. That's really what I believe is best suited for a young quarterback. Caleb Williams would be head and shoulders better and possibly not ruined like possibly he's getting ruined, and Bryce Young in Carolina could already be ruined, like Mitchell Trubisky was ruined in Chicago by throwing him into these offenses that are put too much pressure on the quarterback in terms of spread and shotgun and no running game, and to have them evolve into the game with some of the play action running game and manage the game, which has become almost a sinful word to say about quarterbacks, but
game manager.
Yeah, manage that with the play action and evolve to it. Then I absolutely believe then he has a chance to rectify that. But throwing him into last year's situation, any cue, I think is going to get more of the same.
Kudos to Bryce Young, by the way, who played really well the second half of this season.
Yes.
Even though he still has very little talent around him, although he has a nice veteran receiver now with Adam Thielen. Bernie, it's the last week of the season. The Browns are an 18-point underdog, 18.5. They're on the road. The Ravens still have a lot to play for because they're trying to win their division. If you're a Browns player with a 3-13 record, you know that Saturday night or Sunday morning you're going to be home and the season's going to be over. How are you motivating yourself to play this weekend?
So fortunately, I haven't been in this spot a lot, so I'm not a resident expert at that, because I would have, and I mean this as a joke, but I would have impaled myself already in my life if this would have been a consistent part of my annual New Year's resolution as to how to motivate myself when your team's mathematically eliminated in a dismal season like this. We talked the last couple weeks. It's imperative that you have personal pride. If you don't have personal pride, you have to have pride that I want to be on this team next year. You know, I heard the pregame show yesterday or the other day where you were talking. You know, you guys were joking about having 4 years in the league, and when you're at the end of your third year, you want to make sure you get your fourth year. At the end of your fourth year, you want to make sure you get your fifth year. 3-13 teams, those players aren't in demand. So if you're a player out there for the Cleveland Browns and you are watching this show right now, you shouldn't be. You should be at practice and stuff. And you should somehow, some way, the Jimmy Johnson line, figure out a way to look really good on film, because this is a game that other teams are going to look at, and front office people are going to look at to see who's got heart and spirit and I could count on next year for 2025. Because if this stuff keeps going down, they want dudes next to them sitting at the table that know they show up the day after New Year's to do the job. Right. They don't want to be with guys who they're not sure going to show up and not show up to play, because if you don't show up to play, I'm getting whacked next year too. So the front office guys, they're going to be watching. The coaches are going to be watching. Players need to know that, and it's not a given. You know, the tomorrow, that line our parents say, tomorrow's not a given for us. Well, for sure, next football season's not a given, and you've got to look. You really need to look good for your own self-preservation, if nothing more.
Let me ask you about this game as well. DTR or Bailey Zappi, which one do you want to see on Saturday?
Bless me, Father, for I've sinned. Heard he was a really bad boy in 2024, and for your penance, thou must watch the damn game and make that decision. Okay, my Pinocchio nose is getting bigger. My open invitation into the Catholicism has been reneged because I'm only thinking negative thoughts as to that answer. I feel bad for DTR. Look, it was miserable out there this past Sunday. We shouldn't be throwing the ball 47 times like that. You got to keep the game moving. You got to give them a chance. Whoever the QB is, in the play action, move the pocket game. Thou is not meant to be in the middle of a pocket like that basketball is with the four of us around him like that. So I would like to see Zappy get a few snaps just because he's been in there and he's started some games, but we know that the quarterback room is changing next year. And look, these are both good young men. They've been put in situations that it's clear they're not the Super Bowl future.
Mm-hmm. Bernie, Jimmy has them as all but guaranteed that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry will return next year as head coach and general manager. You know, you look at the tenureship, you look at this season, more than likely the Browns are going to finish this season 3-14. Can you bring Kevin Stefanski back as head coach after a 3-14 season?
I absolutely can. I would. Two coach of the years in 6 years. The dysfunction of life, and not just the football team, but the COVID stuff, and managing what he has. I believe he should come back. I believe change for change's sake doesn't always work. Matter of fact, it's been more disruptive than actually positive. So, yeah, it gives us a cool off season, gives us easy things to talk about, but changing for change's sake, and who do we really have in mind for that? And I believe Coach Stefanski's done a really good job, considering this is more of a team approach as opposed to a dictator approach that I was used to more when I was younger in that. And then from the Andrew Berry perspective is I know people are on his case for the draft picks and stuff, but I really believe in the analytics. I also believe that the convergence of analytics and data coming with old school football. And maybe in the John Dorsey, Alonzo Highsmith side, we were into the old school football and not as much the analytics. And then when they left, we went into the analytics side with Paul DeBattista and Andrew Berry, and maybe we went too much of the analytics. I so believe that Paul DeBattista and Andrew Berry, and I know this may be in the minority, but they're really smart, and I believe they're going to understand that they maybe went a little too far, and the convergence of that, I believe that they're going to get it right, and they give us the best chance of getting it right. So just like switching a coach, I believe for change's sake there would be tough. That's actually easier than changing the front office and the personnel for that, because that's a whole other game, and we haven't got that right since even when I played. So we're on 40 miserable years of that decision. So I believe those guys have, with their analytics and their data and their just flat out intelligence, they're going to be able to sit in a room and be able to say, hey, I haven't got all this stuff right. The data shows it, and my intelligent and common sense shows it, and they're going to be able to really grow and morph that together. And I believe that's given us the best chance for success. And on the Jim Haslam stuff, one of the things, like, from the fans out there, like, I know people are going to say, like, God, we screwed away over $300 million, the most money ever spent on players in the league, and look at, we're going to get hopefully the first or second pick of the draft for that. But instead of looking at that as a negative, I look at it like, damn, it's his money, it's not ours, okay? And if he wants to win that bad, and he can spend that type of coin to give us a chance to win, he's going to do it again in the future. So just because he did this once, if we could get some of these pieces right, we also have ownership that will spend to be able to bluntly outspend the Steelers, Bengals, and Ravens.
But just spending, Bernie's not enough. You know that. Like, he can't overly meddle. I just have some problems with that. But to your point.
Well, I also think they're going to learn from.
I hope so.
From some of that too.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I do think what you bring up about old school playing from the gut and using analytics. People are so. The biggest problem with analytics is that when people started talking about it, they used a different word. If they just would have said stats, instead of analytics, nope, this wouldn't be a big deal. But the smartest franchises use both together in a wise way. If you're only doing one or the other, you're wrong. Right. So I think that's definitely it, and maybe they have gone too far. Maybe they were too far this way. Now they're too far that way. They've got to find the place in the middle if they're going to ultimately have success, and they haven't been able to do that yet. But I'm curious, as we head to the playoffs here, for just get a few minutes from you on the teams that are going to the playoffs. It's interesting, the Chiefs are having another great year, but Patrick Mahomes individually is not having a great statistical season for the first time in his career. In fact, he didn't even make the Pro Bowl for whatever that's worth. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. I had somebody, our friend Darren Smith from Kansas City, try to make an argument that Mahomes is still the MVP because they're 15-1. I don't agree with that, but what do you make of all these great quarterbacks in the AFC and Mahomes having a down year statistically?
Wow, is that impressive? Those names of quarterbacks right there. I mean, for Patrick Mahomes to be an alternate, and I actually think Patrick's played actually really good this year, and the stats don't maybe back it up, but the offensive line has been really woeful for them. I think it's masterful, almost Houdini-ish, to what he's been able to do behind a deficient offensive line and void of really difference makers at the receiver position too.
Well, Rice was hurt for most of the year.
Yeah, so I actually think, and then I love Kareem Hunt, but he's the leading rusher. He wasn't
Pacheco's been hurt.
He wasn't even on the team, for training camp in the first part of the season. So actually he's done more with less. So that's where the Browns and this draft conversation and us getting it right really has to materialize, because it's an uphill stream in the AFC. Our teams are loaded. When the great Patrick Mahomes, who is not having a bad year and is so friggin' resourceful to make plays in crunch time and win games, and he really could be the fourth quarterback. I mean, when you say Josh Allen and
Burrow and Lamar.
Burrow and Lamar, I mean, these guys are playing at genius levels of play. So, we have so far to go within our team to even match those type guys. So, right now, almost like I believe it is in the college football playoff, where people are like, who's been the best team all year? That doesn't really matter. It's who's the hottest team and the healthiest team right now. It's really the same coming into these playoff times, and the teams that are the healthiest, that are playing the best, who can get through this game. That's why I like Barkley playing and Hurts playing for Philly this week.
Barkley ain't.
He shouldn't, even though he
shouldn't.
Yeah, even though 100 yards gets him.
Not playing.
I would play. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I know you'd want to. I know you and me, but we'd want to. But yet, that's bigger stuff at stake. Yeah. That's where sometimes we gotta the adults gotta help us from ourselves.
Well, I'll give credit to Barkley, because if he pushed hard enough, he could have probably been in there if he would have pushed. But he's being very selfless.
It's funny you mentioned Barkley, because that's actually the first part of this game that I
All right, we got a special game, Bernie. Do you know about this?
No, I have not told Bernie.
No. Okay.
And Earl knows about this because he wasn't supposed to be on the panel today, so I ran it by him on Tuesday when we made this. So Earl, you can chime in last.
Bernie can't hear you though.
Cool. I hear.
Bernie can
hear. Does.
Yeah, Bernie can hear.
I didn't know he had an earpiece. Okay.
So this game is called Will It Happen?
All right.
And there's a few records at stake across the NFL in Week 18 that could be broken if players played. So, Steve, you take the first one here. This was about Saquon. Saquon's not playing.
100% it would have been broken.
If he played
against the Giants, of course it would have been
100%. It was against the Giants team, 1,000%.
But how do we feel about that if he breaks it in 17 games when Dickerson had to do it in 6?
I love it because he has 40 less carries than Eric Dickerson has currently.
Enough. That's
so
fair.
I'd be fine.
I wouldn't care. Times has changed. When Eric Dickerson was playing, they didn't play 17 games. You can only play the games that's on your schedule.
That's all right.
So the next one,
I'll tell you, Eric Dickerson, I love. He kind of said that the 17 games does make a difference.
Yeah.
and after, you know what? And after watching the Mark Gastineau, Aaron Rodgers thing, and how, you know, if your name has the record, you know, how that means more in the memorabilia post world. Hadn't really contemplated that.
Yep.
So the next 6 players are all playing this weekend. So the next 6 do apply. So the first one, will Mike Evans get 85 receiving yards on Sunday to clinch his 11th straight
Who they playing?
1,000-yard season?
Playing a bad team, I know that.
The Panthers.
He's getting.
They're
going. If I was the Panthers, I'd triple team him just so he wouldn't get it.
Hey, and this is, I have no inside information for the gamblers out
the Saints,
there,
sorry, the
okay?
Saints, not the
But
Panthers,
Baker
Saints.
is so cool, man. And he knows who his guy is. And in the old days, you made sure as a quarterback that was your responsibility.
Yeah, he's going to do it.
You knew who had the incentives, who needed 5 catches instead of 3 catches for the extra $50,000, and or what records. So Baker will see to that one.
100%. Baker did not make the Pro Bowl, by the way.
I triple team him.
Baker did not make the Pro Bowl.
They're playing the
If I'm the
Saints, not the Panthers.
Saints,
My
if
bad.
I'm the
Saints, yeah.
Saints, I'm triple teaming.
He's still gonna get it.
No, he not.
Yeah, he is.
All right, well, you guys mentioned Baker.
He's in a
Baker's
triple
up
team
next.
with
Marshawn
Lattimore.
ain't there. Marshawn ain't there.
No, I'm saying I still would triple
They're not
team.
gonna
Even
triple
more
team.
reason why I
Go
triple
ahead.
team.
He's going to get
All
it.
right,
Go
so
ahead.
Baker's up next. If Baker completes over 90% of his passes this week,
That's
even if
not
it's
happening.
9 out of 10, he will break Drew Brees' single-season NFL record for completion
I got to give him a
percentage.
ton of credit because before this year, he had been, at his time with Cleveland, he was very inaccurate.
In college, he was very accurate.
And this year, he's been magnificent. But he's not
He ain't getting
going
that.
over 90%.
What makes Bake's season even greater is, you know, in Cleveland, he did have the shoulder stuff with the crappy wind, which makes it tougher to be accurate and stuff. But even another shout out to Bake. God, you guys have an offense that's downfield throwing. So he's not throwing just checkdowns and screens. You have that high completion percentage.
He will Sunday.
It's
He's had a
impressive.
magnificent season, and what helps also, what helps for him statistically, it doesn't help them win. Their defense isn't that good, so he's constantly having to score, and he's got good talent around him. I know he lost Chris Godwin. Mike Evans is great. Bucky Irving has been sensational as a rookie, and Cade Otton's developed into a nice tight end. But Baker's had a magnificent season. He deserves a lot of credit.
All right, next
You
up,
deserve a lot of credit for knowing all those names on Tampa Bay, brother.
That's
That
because
was
I'm
good.
a fantasy sports lunatic there, Bernie.
he's a god in his
Go
own
ahead.
way.
No,
Next.
he's
I am
not a god.
I'm a
He's
fantasy
not a
god.
god.
I'm
He's
the
not a
fantasy
god.
god. Thank you.
All right, next up.
Calling him out.
Myles Garrett needs 9 sacks versus the Ravens to break the single-season sack record at 22
That's
and a half. Can he get
ridiculous.
Lamar 9 times on Saturday?
Not a chance.
He won't get him once.
Not a chance. He gonna get a sack though.
Bernie, you go before me.
He has a chance to.
I'm just thinking if Mikey's still drinking from the holidays.
He might be.
He has
He might-
from 9
You
sacks.
don't
Isn't
have
he-
to sit up there with him when he creating this stuff, man. I'm telling you. It's
Isn't
something
he
else.
tied with Hendrickson for the most sacks in
He
the
is.
league?
They both have 14 right now.
So they both have a chance to break it or to set, be the high for the year.
Yeah.
He wants to get that.
So you think 9 out of the question?
Of course, it's out of the
Well,
question.
I had to ask.
9 sacks.
All right, let's get to the
Insane.
next one.
I give him 8. I wouldn't say 9. I give him
All right,
8.
next
Hey,
one.
with the way the score is going to be,
Yeah.
will Lamar throw 9 times?
Good point. I probably won't need to.
Well, on
That's
the flip
also
side,
for him also a game, too, where they should be careful with Lamar running around.
Yeah, but they do need to win. Well, especially if the Steelers win, they need to win the division.
well, they play first, so
Right.
they'll know.
They'll know. Yeah.
All right, next one. Speaking of throwing the ball a lot, will DTR throw for 5,051 yards against the Ravens to break Peyton Manning's single-season record of 5,477 yards? Do you see 5,051 being in the cards?
I just love to see.
DTR.
I just love to see 2.
I don't even know if he can throw 51 yards, let alone 5,000.
200 yards.
I just want to see him
That's
throw a
silly,
touchdown. I just want to see him throw a touchdown.
What
pass.
about doesn't Burrow have a chance to get to 5,000 yards?
Yeah.
This year?
Yeah.
You need like 300 and something.
What does he need to get to 5,000?
Like 352?
He needs. Nah, he's at 4,641, so 337.
Hey,
339.
watching Joe Burrow play the whole season, but the last month in particular, and as a closet fan of the Hard Knocks, watching him being mic'd up and the way he talks and handles himself, and that passion. Man, I have a love fest for him before this, even more so. That guy's at another level.
Is he your MVP? of the year.
The
Josh, him, and Lamar.
Like, I love all those guys. Like, all four of the quarterbacks, and add Patrick Mahomes, like, all four of them are regular to below average teams without the man. There's four men. Like, these guys are, like, head and shoulders. I mean, the four horsemen of the NFL.
They're the class of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and like, and Joe said something in the Hard Knocks thing, just in passing the other day. He goes, "Damn, it's a shame the season's over. I'm rolling." Like, he's rolling. Like,
they still got a chance to make the playoffs.
Well, he's got a chance.
Not likely.
But like, there was, and again, I'm not making this about me, but there was towards the end of the 86-87, playing in the AFC Championship games, second half of the fumble game in particular, I hit a zone where I just knew everything I touched was going to work. Everything around me was going to work. The players knew what to do. We knew exactly what the defense was. You couldn't hide it anymore. And I see, like, Joe Burrow, I see Josh Allen. Like, when Joe Burrow looks at the defense and you've got Higgins and Chase Young with Chase Brown as a running back, like, they're unstoppable. Like, he's unstoppable right now. And if their defense is just playing just a little bit now, that's a great feeling to have. And, like, I watched Lamar running the other day when they dominated Houston on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Like, they don't believe – the only people they believe that could stop them are themselves.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, it is crazy. Is that it?
Yeah, I had one more, but we got to get the Super Chats in, so let's get to the Super Chats. We had one for MJ Emerson. Could he break the interception season record? He has none this season, so could he get 15? I think you'd all say no. But all right, 2 Super Chats.
Not all.
Salvatore, the 216, says, what are the chances Kenny Atkinson shocks the entire league by continuing playing this entire rotation come playoff time? He could revolutionize the game.
I think it's a high chance he can. I think that traditionally, as you get towards the playoffs, you shorten the rotation up, and that's been the case throughout time. But sometimes you got to go against the grain, and sometimes you got to do things differently to get different results. I think the Cavs are playing basketball the way that the game was meant to be played when it was first created. And when everybody's involved and everybody's having fun, I think it makes it better. So I think it's a high chance that the Cavs continue doing what works for the Cavs.
I don't think there's any chance they do that in the playoffs, Mike. It's not because, first of all, once you're in the playoffs, you're only playing very good teams, especially after the first round. Secondly, those teams are cutting down their rotation. So you can't afford to have your third-tier players playing minutes against first-tier players on the other team. It's worked for them in the regular season. It's not. In the playoffs, it'll be. Now, he might have a little bigger rotation than you typically would, maybe one more, but he's not going to have 12 guys, 11 guys playing in the playoffs.
Don't they go like 7 or 8, Mikey?
Usually you play 8 or play 9, trust 8, play 8, trust 7.
Okay.
Hey, the way they're going right now, in Kenny we trust.
That's 100% correct.
All right, last Super Chat comes from Soul Train. Tyvis, when you and the Buckeyes won it all a decade ago, did the Virginia Tech loss wake the team up to go on that run? Hope you guys all have a wonderful 2025.
Thank you.
Yeah, we couldn't lose. we couldn't lose another game. And the crazy thing is, even because that was the first year. So, back in the BCS, you lost one. It was done. Yeah. So this was the first year where it was like, all right, we lost. I think we dropped to 16. And then as the season went on, I think in that Wisconsin game, we got to like 6 or 6 or 7th. So, like, even going into the Big Ten Championship, after winning it the way we did, we still didn't even think we would make it. And when you woke up that next day and seen them do that selection and that thing said the Buckeyes was in, it was a wrap.
Like, what were you guys thinking going into the announcement? You didn't think you were going to get in?
I didn't think we was in.
Even though you beat them, what was it, 59-0?
59-0. I was like, we ain't getting it. Because I thought, before then, you got to think in the BCS, nobody jumped people.
Right.
So you would think TCU, I thought TCU would win because TCU won their division and it was 4.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of off-the-record conversations. Clearly, I remember that game. Y'all should have won that game. What did your mama say to you after y'all lost to Virginia Tech?
Mama, I don't even know because I don't even remember talking to my mom after that game. After I was a sore loser. If I lost, I didn't really talk to them. I didn't shake hands. I didn't talk to people.
I'm surprised by that.
Yeah. Even in the league, I just walk off
That
the
was
field.
it. We're just done.
Yeah.
That was it.
Homeboys by
Yeah, that was right. The era, right when it started changing a little. I was unfortunately the same way from your era below. You know, we were bad losers.
Yeah.
You know, we were decent winners, and unfortunately, you know, I regret this now at 61. After the game, we were still babies, and we left the field without saying anything because there was no fraternization.
There you go.
And there's dudes you all still want to talk to.
Yep.
Guys, we got to go. Bernie, good to see you as always. Happy New Year.
Happy New
Year
Year
to everybody. We'll see you in overtime.